The winner is on to the World Series, the NFL. We got the 49ers and the Vikes. Christian McCaffrey will play tonight for San Francisco. And Mondays means Sean Salisbury. And I promise you, we're not going to talk college football with a team in Southern California, but we are going to talk about a baseball team in Houston, Texas. What's the pulse of your city right now, Sean?
Well, Grant, let me give you a wealth of useless knowledge real quick before we get to Houston. You mentioned this, and boy, did Nola look good in the first inning, and then they got to him on a couple cement mix or slide piece or off-speed stuff in the second inning, right? Arizona's pretty good. I'm a wealth of useless knowledge, and I learned this today. Do you realize of all these years, Grant, and you as a baseball guy as well, do you realize that Philadelphia Phillies have never been in a 7-game series?
That's unbelievable.
Ever. I mean, Steve Carl, they're one of the older.
That's hard to believe, actually.
1800. It is. When I saw that and heard it today,
yep.
I was like, you're out of your friggin' what? Never.
I'm blown away by that.
Yeah,
I'm blown
me too.
away by that.
I just figured I'd go. And the pulse is, it's always Dusty's fault if somebody strikes out. That's one. You know how that goes, Grant, which is, he's the best manager in Astros history, but I'll leave that there for people to chew on. I got to the point where I don't even – the conversation when I hear like last night, for instance, when Singleton pinch hits for Pena, some fans are still stuck on the fact that Pena was the ALCS MVP last year. I don't – and he's not hitting the ball, and the metrics say go to the left-hander Singleton, who's very good eye and had some good cuts and was a big reason why they won Game 5 with that walk that allowed them to get forward in the game. That was a big part of it. So, and they blame that's Dusty's fault. Why would you pinch it for? They're always looking for something. Which
this
is
the team that won the World. Dusty did win the World Series last year, correct? I want to make
my
sure
knowledge,
that
and this is if they get to this, they win tonight. That'll be 3 World Series in a row. And it just and he came in when all the cheating stuff. He had to take all the brunt of it, and he also had to get through COVID with his team. So. It's to the point where it's almost comical now when people say this about a Hall of Fame guy. It's borderline low IQ sports talk is what it is. So, but I digress. The pulse is that Javier's been pitching really well, and he's 4-0 in the postseason, Grant. If he's got his stuff, which he didn't have all year, last year what you got from Javier. And speaking of Philadelphia, when he threw the no-no against them, in the game against Philly in the World Series last year. So Javier is lights out if he's got that 2-pitch and working on, making sure that he gets out in front, doesn't walk a lot of people. But the pulse is they expect the Astros to win because of their ability to deal with pressure. They know what this is like, but also there's that nerve rack that, hey, what if Scherzer bulldogs his way through it? I think you're going to see 10 pitchers tonight between the two. I do.
Sure.
And all hands on deck, and Scherzer gives you 80 pitches. Bochy's great as well. The pulse is Astros are going to win, but there's more stress than I've seen here in a while because they know the Rangers can hit like the Astros, and a lot of it. Grant, I remember you and I have talked on the show. I said probably in June or July, I said the season the rest of the way, pitching staff, if Javier is great as your number 3 or 4 guy, you're going to be in a real good position. I'll be damned after all this. A tie during the regular season, they won the tiebreaker. We're 3-3 going into Game 7, and it all comes down to Christian Javier. And in truth right now, they trust Javier, do the fans and everybody else more than they trust Framber Valdez, who who was not good again. I mean, he was. I take that back. He was somewhat solid, but still not the Framber that we're used to. So the buzz is they're going to win, but nerves because of the way that the Rangers can hit, and the most recency bias is they hung 9 on them last night. So, but I think they feel good about it because of the chops of. The postseason chops of the Astros, and everybody's begging for Kyle Tucker to get rolling, which he hasn't, and he was an MVP guy outside of Ohtani all year long.
I'm shocked you're not at the game.
You know what, Grant? I tickets could have gone, but you and I have talked, and baseball is one of my – baseball and hockey, I'm an in-person guy.
Yeah.
But you know why? I'm sitting out on the back patio cigar. I got those 4 TVs rolling. I just grilled steaks, but I want to hear Smoltz's insight. I do. Now I'll go to the World Series if they get there. I went last year. I think both teams. I think BA and Francoeur and Ronnie Darling do a nice job, and on TBS. And I think that with Smoltz and Joe Davis, I do. I like the insight. Smoltz teaches you something every time. Plus, instant replay. I sometimes get distracted going to the game, and I don't get to watch everything. And I know 4 hours tomorrow, wall to wall, we're not talking about anything but the Astros, win or
Wow.
lose. So I wanted to stay home tonight and watch it, not deal with it, or otherwise I would be there. But best seat in the house for me is watching on TV. Plus, we got a hell of a Monday night game
Yeah.
if the Vikings decide to show up at home.
Yeah, I thought the Vikings were the most overrated team in football last year. I did not think they were that good. The Giants
They
proved that in the
validated you this year,
playoffs.
brother. They
What's
validated
that?
you this year. They
Yeah.
validated you right now.
You know, I mean, I don't see any way San Francisco does not win this game tonight. I don't care where the game is being played. They're better on both sides of the football. Much, much better. Much, 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 much better defensively. McCaffrey's going to play. I don't see, barring, unforeseen turnovers, I don't see how San Francisco does not win this game.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to get us to football. I know that we still got some
No, I
baseball,
want to get to football. It's good.
Yeah, and Grant, and to answer the question, I think the Astros win because even though they've been sub 500 at home, I just think that this team, they thrive on these moments, and history tells me that the last 7 years they do it. But Bochy concerns me because he handles pitching staffs, two great Hall of Fame managers. I just think that the Astros will come up with something. I think it's like a 7-5 game. I think they're going to take the over. I don't think the pitchers with all the pitchers I would.
I agree.
And I don't think it's a 2-0 game. Back to the football thing, Grant. I had the Vikings. I mean, had the 49ers played their ass off against Cleveland last week, I would have maybe thought that this was closer. But I don't expect Purdy to have another bad game. He had his, toe stub. The 49ers looked awful last week. That is not them. And the Vikings can't stop you and me. Matter of fact, USC's defense might be better, and that's saying something considering there's two more. There's still two more losses on USC's schedule with that defense. So there's our get after the Trojans a little bit tonight. But I like the 40. Grant, I think this is like 30-17. I think it's a double-digit win for the 49ers. I think they're getting after it. And the Vikings and no Jefferson.
Oh boy,
I don't know how you're going to protect the quarterback and generate offense. Cousins will put up some numbers, but I think the 49ers boat race them tonight and win by double digits.
Sean, the guy's won an MVP before, so obviously Lamar Jackson's hardware is pretty good. I mean, he's really, really good. I don't know if I've ever seen him play better than he did yesterday against the Lions. He was brilliant.
He's playing really good. The numbers going into yesterday's game were not gaudy, Grant, touchdowns to interceptions, but the command, the new coordinator, and you know how I feel about Monken. I think he is really, really good.
Yes, you
do.
You
know what they're doing, Grant? They've got more bandwidth now. I mean, as much as I love Greg Roman, it was more in a cylinder playing their offense. They've expanded Lamar, and they don't have a million weapons, but they're using them right. And Monken did a great job with their offense at Georgia. I thought this was one of the great hires in the offseason. And Lamar is protecting the ball, but he's also the dynamic part of him stays there. They're making big plays. They are nasty as hell on defense, and John Harbaugh continues to be one of the better coaches in the league. I believe that. So I think the staff's good. I do, and you're right. Lamar looks like a guy who's aged like you want that veteran to age as a quarterback, growing, right? I mean, the seasoning's been perfect for the way he's taking care of his business. They are a legitimate Super Bowl threat considering the Dow Jones of the Buffaloes and Miamis and the AFC.
It's unbelievable.
Kansas City still fine. Yeah, it is. And I think that the Baltimore Ravens, I had them in the AFC Championship game this year, Grant, and I think Lamar is obviously they're going to go where he takes them, but aggressive but protect the foot. Does that make sense? Where you can, it's like a hitter. They throw you first ball hitting fastball, attack it if it's in the zone. If it's out of the zone, lay off it. That's be smart. Same thing here. Damn, they're going to play man coverage, or if they're going to do stuff and bunch it up inside, you can go your inside zone, get out on the edge and go do your thing. And I think Monken's doing a good job of putting him in position. They are a definite threat, and even though the numbers aren't gaudy, he has got to be an MVP candidate right now, even though the numbers say, well, there's a million guys with better numbers, yeah, but winning and numbers matter to me when it comes to the best MVP in the league, and he's one of them. Tua, Purdy, but they've all had their down game. Now we're in for the two-thirds run that I think Lamar can give us. I'm impressed.
Sean, you talked about the Dow Jones of some of the teams, and the Bills to me are number one on that list. I just cannot figure out this team. It wasn't that long ago when they just absolutely embarrassed the Miami Dolphins on their home field. And since then, they look lost. I mean, last week, they barely beat a bad Giants team, and they allowed the Patriots prevent offense. That's what I call the Patriots offense, to score 29 points yesterday. I mean, here we go with Josh Allen again. He doesn't take care of the ball. First play of the game, Sean. first play of scrimmage offensively, I mean, boom, interception sets the tone for the game. I
No
just
doubt.
don't know about this team. Who are they, Sean?
They don't know, and I don't. And if we haven't figured that out by now, Grant, then that ought to tell you who they are. They're sitting in purgatory. We know they can score 40, and Allen can throw for 350 and run for 90, and then he'll also throw 2 red zone interceptions and destroy you. They don't run it great. Defense, they're banged up a little bit. They underachieve at times, yet I think their skill set is off the charts. I do. It's like Brian Dable leaving has still affected them as much respect as I have for Kenny Dorsey. It's weird, but this team, to me, this trend of 2 good ones and 1, I mean, sometimes it's not even just an average one. It's like, what are you doing? Now, going into this game yesterday, I bet the Patriots, Grant, I didn't take them on the money line. I took them to cover because Belichick, at some point, Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones got to play well, and that was Mac's best game of the year. They did the right thing on offense. They made some big plays. They protected. And Bill will always have something for your defense, and he's good for a handful of those a year. And this is who Buffalo is to me. Talent, yes. The Super Bowl is, to me, they're still grasping. And until somebody proves to me, we give Cousins and all those guys a hard time, Dak Prescott. Right now, Buffalo is a January team, not a February team, and they've proven that. And you look at Kansas City, they continue to lose guys. They have to bring McCole Hardman back. Kelsey banged up with the ankle a few weeks on. Mahomes comes in, their defense player throws for 4+. I mean, it's crazy how they continue to do it. I think that Buffalo, they can win the East, but you know what? The Buffalo's the type of team that wins, doesn't have home field advantage, and gets beaten in an early round because they had one of those games where it's like, what are you doing? I love the quarterback I love his skill set, but he will give you the football and put you in a bind. And Buffalo is, if we're talking about power rankings in the AFC, I got 3, 4, 5 teams ahead of them right now.
I've talked to you a lot about the quarterback position and guys we've never heard of. I remember, when Earl Morrall got his chance, or you talk about Kurt Warner when he, replaced Trent Green, who went down with the knee injury in preseason, and obviously he's in the Hall of Fame. We talk about Brock Purdy last year. And again, I'm not ready to give him, a yellow jacket yet, a gold jacket in Tyler Bagent. But wow. What he did to the Raiders, I would say that most people had not even, I said Tyler, I didn't even know his name, Tyson Bagent. I would say most football fans had never heard of him before. And he steps onto the field, and he wasn't great, but he was very good. And you know what? The way he managed the game was so impressive to me.
His confidence was through the roof too, Grant.
Yes.
This is a Division II guy that you're like, this dude. Now, I went on a show in Chicago before the season started, Grant, and then we were talking about his preseason. Now, I'd heard of him a little bit because I knew he could throw it all over in Division II, but I never watched him. I never sat there and studied any, I could sit here and bullshit you and say, hey, by the way, I studied. I knew who he was, but I didn't. He's a guy you think, well, is he ever going to make a team? Not only did he come in and make a team, he played great in the preseason.
Yes, he did.
And I'm telling you, the fan base, the people, when I went on there, they were raving about the guy. And then you start to go back. I went back and read some things. And I thought, damn, what am I missing? Because I'm not around Chicago's training camp every day. You're just going by reports. And Grant, I'm going to say something that's I don't mean this as a hot take, but I mean it's as far as managing what they're trying. And he's got some feet. As far as just pure thrower and grasp of what they're trying to do, he's better than Fields right now. Now, once again, it's one start.
I know.
It is one start. The other guy's more dynamic, but the guy spends it. He's accurate. He's got swagger. And it almost feels like he says, listen, I know how talented Fields is, but I am going to go post my score and birdie a few holes, and I'm going to post my score and say, now, you go ahead and come get me when you're healthy, because when Fields is healthy, he's going to play. But I'm going to tell you something now. You may have found a hidden gem here, because this wasn't just some who shot John operation. They loved him there, and that's why he made the team. So we better take notice, because the guy felt like he was in command. And if he keeps this up, and depending on what goes on, it makes you wonder what the future for Fields in Chicago, and maybe a change like Trey Lance situation, or if this guy, and then do you go draft Caleb Williams or somebody else? Are you going to change coaches? I was really impressed with his game. It's the Raiders, I understand, but I still was impressed with the way he handled everything. He's not as gifted as Fields, but for a first start, he looked like a guy who had a damn good idea what was going on. And I think as far as just pure thrower, I think he's a better pure thrower of the football right now.
I wonder, in your career, high school, USC, NFL, how many times you did a quarterback sneak. I want to get your take on what you feel about the Eagles, the way they line up. Are you okay with that being a legal play in the NFL? And why do you think that it's rarely stopped?
Well, one is yes, quarterback sneak, but I hated it because now it's a big body and I weighed 230 and 225, so I could move pile, but I hated it because you always knew you were going to get hit in the head. And we weren't doing that. You couldn't, right? So you got penalized if you were pulling a guy along or pushing a guy. People come down and you hit in the head. I said, damn, the crown of your helmet, nobody's going to get you for going to the crown of the helmet. That's interior. And I hated it. Safe play, but it was like, damn, I'm taking more hits there than I am in the open field. It sucked. So quarterback sneak, plenty of touchdowns in my high school, college, and NFL career, and in 3rd and 1 or 4th and 1. But I wasn't a fan of it yet. I know the rules say you can. The reason why it's successful, even when people know they're coming, they get phenomenal low push, and you got 1,000 pounds of people pushing behind you. I mean, and
yeah, but other teams try to do it, and they're
right.
not even at 50%.
You know what I think, Grant? First off, their center's pretty good. They got some nasty guys up front. Kelsey's a good player.
Yeah.
And people that haven't been around Jalen Hurts, that's a physical, nasty, big legs guy. And they just, I guarantee, some people don't work on special teams like as much as they do offense, defense.
Sure.
This has become like a staple, and you just do not stop them. It has become a staple part of their offense. So do I like it? Well, within the rules, if you're not going to change rules. But the hypocrisy of it is, we love telling everybody, well, you know what, injuries. We don't want our quarterback injured. We can't have players injured. Safety, player safety. Yet pushing a guy from behind and these guys coming this way, the linemen are getting people falling on the back of their legs and possibly blowing it out. The quarterback, you're pushing, and there's that feeling of somebody's going to push me low, another's going to hit me high, I'm going to bounce over it, I'm going to blow out a knee. Now, the first time a star blows out a knee, guess what they're going to do, especially if it's a quarterback? Yep. They are going to change that rule in the middle of the friggin' season.
Yep.
I still think there's a chance they'll change it because I don't think they like the optics of it and the verbiage. If you're talking about safety, ain't nothing safe about it, because think about even Kelsey. People coming his way and all the bodies that are falling on him. But it's a rule, and I like, and they do it so damn well. I'd run it 5 times a game too if I was them. But you're exact, and they kill clock that way. They wear out teams. They could damn near go down the field doing it, and they got a physical quarterback. I'm not a big fan of it, but you're never a fan of it when you don't do it as well as somebody else. And man, are they executing about as good as you can? But I think they got to revisit it and be careful, because it's funny when we talk about health, we always talk about the head. We don't seem to care about somebody's lower back or knee or how they, a lower lumbar injury because somebody's beating you in the back. But they've perfected it where it feels safe, and they got high guys pushing, low guys pushing. They're damn good at it. It's going to win them a game or two again this year, because they're not going to change it or at least visit it until the offseason, I wouldn't think.
All right, I want to bring Ryan in because I want to talk to you about your Pro Sports Fans app. And I know it's heavy-duty football, but I also see you got the baseball going on with the Astros and everything. Ryan and I are going to start, zeroing in on the NBA and the Sacramento Kings. It's hard to believe that opening night is tomorrow, and for the Kings, it's Wednesday. We're really excited to, bring all the fans of Sacramento to this app. I know it's going very well for you, isn't it?
Yeah, Grant, it is. And we meet, I think about 30 years of doing what I've been doing in the media. I'm as excited about this as I've been about any of it. I guess when you're involved and you're the president of the company and you see where it was and where it's going and how people are excited about it, and the friggin', sweat equity and raising money and getting people to buy. And then when you start to see people that are invested a lot of money and that care and want to sponsor, that those people who invest money didn't make their money by giving money away to something they didn't think was going to be successful. We have got now, Grant, the best way I can describe it is we not only giving a fan a seat at the table, but think about this. We always talk about the owners they're the bosses. And then we talk about player empowerment. You know what we've finally done with this? I was thinking about this last week. We've given fan empowerment. You're now got a seat coming in the chat rooms. It's the top, and I think the best of its kind fan engagement app where it's audio and video. We are going to have peer-to-peer gambling on it. We are the wallet. We are close with the new the technology of partnering with a couple others, and we're where you can go in there and leave and go and toggle in. We'll have the gambling experts. We got football, baseball, basketball, hockey, premier. We will be in soccer. We're having our hockey. Won't be a game or a sport that we are not covering. In game, during the game, like the Manning cast for every game in the NBA season that we can do, and football every Sunday. We got teams covering all 16 games, or Thursday through Sunday. So
here's a question for you.
Yes, and we can handle it, and it's awesome. We got great media casters and great talent.
Yeah, he says, Sean, how do I find you on the app? Search by your name. They want to know. People are still, what's the easiest way to find the app?
The app is go to the App Store. What's it, Google Play or the App Store, and just go Pro Sports Fans or PSF. It'll pop up, and then it's free. You go in there, and the talent will have the ability, if you have let's say you had Donald Trump on or Joe Biden for an interview, you may want to have that show as a subscription show. Right now it's free. You go in there. I'll bring all your people. Just go get what's it hurt to go get the app and see? And with the Lucra and the things we're doing, Grant, you'll be doing a show. And in real time, while people are coming in and talking to you like a Manning cast, but they don't have the fan engagement we have. They're great at what they do.
Sure.
But if you got something you want to know, but what we're doing is we have all the stats rolling across. You'll be able to leave and go out and come back in if you want to go make a bet. Once that's taken care of with our getting the technology, which is probably a month and a half or a month away, we got phenomenal media casters like you guys that bring incredible – because no matter how good the technology is or how good I am at going and getting great people like you, if the talent's not good and they're not giving compelling stuff, people won't stick around.
No, you got to have good stats.
In having fans a seat at the table, we always say we want it, and now they got it. And it is – I think it's going to explode into something that is game-changing. And there'll be, at some point, there's going to be competition, which is a great thing. But we stepped out in front of it. We want communities and fan engagement. It's going to get to the point where if you're a chef, eventually we're going to have it where there's food for you. But we started with that emotional sports that everybody loves. After a game tonight, if you're a Vikings fan, pop on in your Minnesota PSF, and you know what they're going to do? You can go in there till midnight 20 and battle and fight with the 49er fan or talk about it, or you don't have to wait till the next day's podcast. So it's live, interactive, and the numbers will come across, the stats. All we do is in real time. You don't have to wait a week to get the information or wait till the next day it's loaded. It's all real time, and we got sports wall to wall. And we are working. Grant, I tell you what, I thought my 3:30 wake up call to go do a morning show was a pain in the ass. I mean, I love it, but this is once I'm off that air, I'm preparing for this. Yeah. And my show, I'll be doing a show called Sean Salisbury Unpaved, which is going to take a look at not only sports but life and everything with great guests. And unpaved is where we all end up, right, until we can get back on the paved road. But I kind of like deviating off the paved road a little bit. So mine's going to start up here shortly. We're putting that together, and I got all the media casters. So we got it covered, and the most reason why is for fans. And I think this is a gold mine on steroids, and we've got great people, and that's the reason it works. Technology and people like you that are going to go give people a reason to come in and talk to you live, and I love it.
Enjoy your steak, your cigar, and your bourbon and your games, my friend. Thank you very much.
And please let it be an Astros win, so when I go into work tomorrow, I'm not bombarded with, why is Dusty, right? That's what you're going to hear. It should be fun, man. I look forward to it. And thank you, guys. I look forward to all your great stuff during the basketball season, too. Thanks.
Thank you, buddy. That's good stuff, Sean Salisbury. He's great. Ryan, how good is he, man, huh?
He's the best, Grant. He's impossible to follow. I'm sitting here like a fan just watching. Yeah. Obviously the best.
That's why you're not following him. That's why I brought you on for a minute or two, even though you didn't say a word, because I didn't want you to follow him. I want you to join us because it's impossible to follow him.
See, Napes, that's why this works out. You get me. Thank you.
All right. Guess what? We are 2 days away from the Sacramento Kings opening up this season. You and I on Wednesday will talk with Jerry Reynolds right here at 4:00. Then you will have the pregame show. Jerry and I will be with you at halftime, and then we'll have our postgame show right here. So we're getting rolling 48 hours from now.
Hard to believe. And we kick it off with fireworks with Jerry at 4:00. Can't wait. And Grant, that's going to be a weekly thing, correct?
Every Wednesday? We're going to have Jerry on every Wednesday, and he's going to join us for quite a few of the halftimes and some post games. But I'm very excited. I also want people to know, please subscribe to this channel if you have not already done so. That way you'll be aware of whenever we're coming on. And if you have an interest in sponsoring the segments with Jerry Reynolds, hit me up. All right. Send me a direct message, or you can drop me an email at gnapier@gmail.com. I'll put it up on the screen for you, gnapier@gmail.com. Drop me an email if you are interested in sponsorship information for when Jerry is on with us. I'm pumped, man. I can't wait. I think we're going to have a lot of people joining us this year, and I'm very excited about Sean's app, where maybe we can do, watch parties. We can be on everything together. So it's going to be good stuff.
It's going to be great stuff. I'm glad that you brought that up with the PSF app, because it does give the fans a seat at the table. It's direct access. It's not sending a tweet and wondering if you're going to get a reply. So it's going to be good stuff. Follow our social media too, because you're going to get a lot of updates there as well on Twitter.
Absolutely. I will tell you, you can just look at our, what do you call that?
Right,
Title, whatever. But you see Ryan's Twitter handle. You got mine. Yep. Obviously, it's X, but we call it Twitter still. But the
Twitter.
reality is, we are really excited to bring you a full season of content right here, and I'm going to have some guests that will be joining us along the way. So it's good stuff. What do you think? Okay, here we are, getting ready for the Kings season. Has your win total changed at all based on what you've seen in the preseason?
No, not really. I think it's reinforced what I believe it to be, right around that number. In fact, it's more solidified it, if I think of anything, looking at certain players that we were looking for improvement with, whether it be Davion Mitchell, Keegan, and the unexpected Colby Jones. He's playing good basketball right now, Grant.
He is playing well, but now preseason is in the books. There's some video on him scouting, and that's now when we're going to find out a lot, because teams will play you differently in the regular season than they do in the preseason, particularly young players that scouts haven't really looked at that much.
Sure.
And they'll start attacking your weaknesses, and so keep that in mind.
Yeah, great point. And I would counter with that position that Colby plays is somewhat up for grabs at this point. And that doesn't mean he's stepping into minutes in a role yet, but that certainly gives him an opportunity that many did not give him coming into the season.
All right. So Jazz Wednesday, Warriors on Friday. Would you right now, if I told you the Kings would start off the season 1-1, would you take that?
Yes, I would, because it's Pacific Division, or not Pacific Division, excuse me. It's Western Conference, and the Western Conference is by far better than the Eastern Conference, in my opinion, this year. So, and the Kings need to get out to a strong start, Grant, and they've got to get a big win on the home court, where they struggled last year against the Warriors, and kind of kill those demons from the 7-game series in the first round.
Well, I would take 1-1 also. The Jazz, to me, are one of the question marks in the Western Conference. I'm not sure about them. I look at their this league is about matchups. Sure. And last year, the Jazz gave the Kings all they could handle because of the matchups. So I still expect this game on Wednesday to be very tight.
Yeah, I mean, the preseason game, 116-113, the Jazz played a little bit more of their role players and starters guys than the Kings did. But Walker Kessler, it comes down to him, Grant. It starts with him, ends with him, and how the Kings are going to play them, and if Sabonis can stay out of foul trouble.
I want to talk to you about Blazona Development, and it's so awesome to have them on here if you don't like that, and their newest project, Sunrise Landing. And all you need to do to check out what they have going on in Calusa is very simple. All right. Just go online and you can go to right there, CalusaSunrise.com. That's CalusaSunrise.com, and check out one of their 6 models and everything they have going on. That is Sunrise Landing, CalusaSunrise.com. Glad to have Blazona Development with us throughout this stream, and really excited to have them joining us. All right. So here are the teams that and by the way, we always talk about impact injuries, right? Yes. The Memphis Grizzlies without Steven Adams for a whole year is devastating for them. That is a brutal blow. I'm erasing them from my top 4 list right now.
They've got to be erased, especially with Ja missing the start of the season. I believe it's right around 26, 27 games that he'll be missing. So, I mean, certainly there's still talent there. Marcus Smart, Desmond Bane, but Steven Adams, he's the one that anchors that team. Whether you want to believe it or not, he's the rock in that locker room. So that's going to be a huge hole for them.
Clippers to me, I need to see. Suns, can they stay healthy? Can Warriors stay healthy? I mean, let's be honest here. If the Warriors and the Suns were to stay healthy, I would put them to finish ahead of Sacramento. Why would I think that the Clippers would be able to stay healthy when they haven't done that the last couple of years? So I'm not really sold on them. I don't know anything about, when I say I don't know anything, I don't know about Dallas. Luka, Kyrie, it didn't work last year after the trade. So is it going to work this year? I mean, there are a lot of unknowns that I think we're going to learn a lot about in the next few weeks here with these teams.
Yeah, and it's the unknowns are what kind of makes the season exciting because you don't know who's going to step up and you don't know who's going to flounder. And I think we're going to see it fairly early, like you said, but this is going to be a steady stream of good teams the Kings are going to be facing night in and night out in the Western Conference. You know, it's funny, Grant, you name off the Pacific Division. ESPN came out with their rankings. They have every team in the Pacific Division ahead of the Kings, yet the Kings winning the Pacific Division. And one of the things they attributed that to is the Kings' health, because they showed last year that they could stay healthy predominantly. They're putting them ahead of those three teams because of the players they have.
How about that? All right. We have Serbia checking in. Dobro Jutro. Good to have you over there in Serbia. I like the roster on the Kings. I don't think it's perfect. I do think they have a couple of issues. And I really think now their shooting guard issue for Mike Brown is a concern. And when I mean a concern, I don't think he's losing sleep over it, but he's got to be a little worried based on what he saw in preseason.
Yeah, I would say right now the roster, if everybody was healthy, you're feeling a little better. You're still concerned about the two-guard spot, but the flexibility that Mike Brown has right now is somewhat limited because Trey Lyles dealing with a mildly strained calf. That takes away small ball at the center. You know, you look at what's going on with Chris Duarte. Is he going to be the starter? Kevin Huerter struggling. So it's pretty straightforward. You know the cards that the Kings are going to play to start the season until some of those guys either get going or get back from injury.
I don't know why I would expect Chris Duarte to be a starting two guard in the NBA. I don't see that. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but I know he's only in his third year, and he did play well in his first year, and last year was injury riddled and lost his time and really wasn't a factor. That's why the Indiana Pacers moved him. But I'm not. I look at Chris Duarte. I don't see him as a starting two guard in the league. I just don't.
Well, here's the reality, Grant. Maybe Mike Brown doesn't see Chris Duarte as a starting two guard in the NBA either. But when you take in combination, you look at Davion Mitchell. You look at Colby Jones, who we talked about. He's got to get some regular time in the regular season. And then you also look at Kevin Huerter, right? If those guys are not playing well, then, you know, you're kind of in a hole. You got Malik Monk there who's had his own struggles. But if those guys are playing well, Grant, what's that open up for you if you need to? You got the ace up the sleeve in Malik Monk in that starting lineup that Mike Brown could turn to, and that changes everything for the Kings if he needs to go there.
All right, you mentioned a lot of guys, and you can only play a few of them, and it's going to be up to Mike Brown to have his, finger on the button to make the right decisions on which guy has it tonight and which guy doesn't. There are bodies there, but you can't play them all. As Jerry Reynolds said, it's not Little League Baseball. Not everybody gets to play 3 innings.
Yeah, and it's very true. And like you said earlier in the show, matchups are going to predicate who he ultimately puts on the court. But of the names I mentioned, 3 of those 4 could be looking at minutes, major minutes every game. So if you have that flexibility between that position that we're looking at right now as a possible liability, then it could become, actually an asset that Mike Brown could have. So we'll see what happens. And that's what the regular season's all about.
We're really excited. Again, Wednesday, right here, 4:00. Ryan then with the pregame show. Jerry will join us at halftime, and then we'll have the postgame show to get the season rolling on Wednesday. All right, tonight we got 2 games. All right, I'm not going to talk about the game currently going on, but let's talk about the football game tonight. San Francisco, right?
Yep, San Francisco.
All right.
So
score?
Yes. I'm going to say 49ers 28, Vikings 7. So I think the Niners will get it done. But Brock Purdy is going to have to open it up a little bit. He's not working with the same weapons, and don't expect McCaffrey to be the same McCaffrey with an oblique strain like he has. I think that's going to kind of hinder them a little bit, but I still don't think the Vikings have enough to get by.
All right. Sean Salisbury going to be happy or not happy?
I think Sean's going to be happy. I mean, Grant,
Me
how
too.
can you go against the experience of the Astros? They've been in the last, I believe, 7 NCLS or ACL or championship series.
Yeah.
And, they're at home. So it's hard to bet against them. Although, as we were mentioning, or I said before the show, 2019, the Nationals won the World Series without winning a home game in the World Series. So the Rangers are looking for that territory. It's been done before, and the Rangers are hot as well. So ultimately, Astros win.
All right, buddy. We'll see you on Wednesday. Appreciate you.
All
Thank
right.
you very much.
Thanks, Capes.
All right, good stuff from Ryan in Sacktown. And hey, folks, don't forget about Bennett's West Side Grill at the Blue Oaks Town Center in Rockland. Okay, awesome. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. That's Bennett'sRestaurants.com, and you can make a reservation and check out everything else. The 3 locations, Bennett's West Side Grill, but Bennett'sRestaurants.com will give you all the information. So Wednesday, let me go over the schedule again. All right, 4:00. Right here, Jerry Reynolds, pregame show, all right, with Ryan before game 1. Jerry will join us, all right? So it'll be 3 men on halftime, all right? Postgame show. We'll stay on as long as you want. That's going to be on Wednesday, and then we'll do it all over again on Friday. Really excited for the start of the NBA season. Hey, don't forget, plumbing needs, repairs, go to New Works Plumbing. SackServicePlumbing.com is the website, or you can call the number on your screen. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. Really enjoyed having you on here this afternoon. Hey, we got enough sports. I know a lot of people are watching the NL game and trying to update the score there. Well, if you care, you're watching it, right? You probably got it on right now in the background. But Phillies, Diamondbacks, we're talking about Game 7 in Houston tonight. Man, love it. Absolutely love it. All right. End of 4, Arizona on top of Philly, 3-1. Thanks, everyone. Appreciate you. We'll talk to you soon right here on If You Don't Like That.